United. My name is Karen Knapp, CEO, United Way of St. Lucie County. United Way's mission is to improve lives by mobilizing the caring power of our community. And we do that by funding programs and agencies that work to improve the lives in the areas of education, income, and health. And today one of our guests is Diamond Litty. Welcome, Diamond.
Hi, Karen. Thank you. Thank you.
Diamond, your program is Life Builders.
Yes.
And Life Builders is, compared to other programs in the community, is relatively new.
Yep.
And not everyone knows about it. So it's important to get that word out because you all meet and fill the gap in a certain area that just isn't being taken care of or hasn't been until Life Builders came along. Let's talk a little bit about why and your mission.
Oh, gosh. Thank you. And thank you for having me on the show. I think most people know me as the public defender, and I have to segue into Life Builders with that because being the public defender was the catalyst or the reason why we formed Life Builders. What we're seeing is that so often people involved in the criminal justice system or dependency court, and the dependency court is the court where children in need have been neglected or abused go to court. What we saw is a need and a gap that public funding could not address. Oftentimes people involved in those two court systems, criminal or dependency, were successful. And even though they had made a mistake or had gotten in trouble at some point, they were on the road to success. They were on the road to becoming productive citizens. But there were stumbling blocks. And although we can help them and guide them as lawyers, etc., within the system, they may have gotten out of criminal court, gotten a job, become successful, if you will, but don't have a driver's license, for example. So they need a bike to ride to their job and continue their success. But I am not allowed, with public funding, obviously, through our office, to buy them that bike. And thus, now they're back to criminal activity, possibly. So Life Builders is the organization that they can apply for. We vet the applications to make sure that indeed our money is well spent and that they are successful people, not involved in criminal activity, drugs, alcohol, etc. And we buy John the bike so he can continue his employment and his work. So, and that's just one example, but there was a great need for that, and people, things that seem simple to us and not that big of a deal are great stumbling blocks to those involved in the system. And if we can help them, then we've created productive citizens.
Yeah, everyone falls into hard times.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and giving someone a hand up is so important, and improving their lives is going to improve the well-being of the entire community.
Oh,
when
absolutely.
you think about it.
Absolutely.
Is there a counseling component to your program?
No, the Life Builders also obviously guides people and directs them when they are seeking funding, you know, if they need additional help. But the programs already within the court system are in place to help them with all those things. This is just an additional help as far as you know, keeping them directed in a positive way. Now we do pay for things like a rent or whatever, a fee for a halfway house for someone who is battling addiction, things of that nature. They have to help themselves, though. We may pay for the first month, but we want to know that they have the means to pay for the second. we, you know, we are very proud of the fact that the money we spend, really, we don't give a penny out without knowing that it is going to someone who can continue success.
Yeah, and it's all about working with the community. There must be many not businesses, but organizations that you refer people to and work
absolutely.
with. Let's talk about a few of those partnerships.
Oh, we have so many partnerships within the community. Obviously, you know, United Way has supported us, and we're so proud of that, because it is, you know, we've only been in existence 5 years, and to have that stamp of approval from such a great organization lets people feel like, well, maybe I will donate because United Way believes in them, and that has been, you know, wonderful for us. But we have partnerships with everyone in the system. Obviously, the players in the court system, the judiciary, state attorney's office, law enforcement, all the mental health facilities, substance abuse facilities. Oh my goodness, I can go on and on. You know, it's all the players that touch the criminal justice system. We have partnerships for this.
Of all the people you've helped, what is the rate of reoffending? I know you're proud of how low it is.
Oh, it's very, very low. It's hard to grasp an actual number per se. The court systems that these people are, the diversion courts that these people come from, the recidivism rate drops from 67% to as low as 4%, especially those with mental illness, for those that we help. But then you have our help on top of the diversion courts, and it's even, the recidivism rate is even less than that, because you've had people that have already been successful, proven their success. Now we give them the little extra help that they need to continue. So you're talking 2-3% maybe that get back in trouble again.
And you have fundraisers, because you can't
Yes.
do it on the United Way funds only. I mean,
Right.
Let's talk about the fundraiser.
Well, we have one big fundraiser per year, because the organization is not a bricks and mortar organization, which, as you know,
Right.
because from applying and asking for money is hard. It's hard for funders to wrap their mind around that. We don't have a building. We don't have an executive director. We have volunteers that do this pretty much solely. We do have one full-time person that is paid, that vets the applications to make sure our money is used wisely. The rest are volunteers, so the great news is pretty much 98 cents of every dollar that people donate goes to help people. With that being said, our big fundraiser is our golf tournament every year in October at the Legacy Golf and Tennis Club, and it has just caught on like wildfire. I think the first year we raised $22,000. Little by little. This past year we raised over $72,000.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. But it's a 2-day event. We have a cocktail party the night before, where we have our auction and all of those things, and then the next day is the golf tournament. So we have 2 opportunities for people to get involved. What we found is, and you've been in the business long enough, you know, if you limit it to golfers, then what about the wives of the golfers who don't golf, and you want to get them involved? So it's a great way to have everybody involved.
So if someone wants to sign up for your golf tournament,
yes, they can call me. I'll sign them up now.
You'd mentioned volunteers, and volunteers, they're so important to all nonprofit agencies. Are there any other ways you utilize volunteers other than, you know, the golf tournament? And also you mentioned people, the intake.
Right. Oh no,
patients?
we can always use volunteers. Certainly, we always need volunteers for the golf tournament, but also if anybody wants to sign up and help us with the vetting of the app, we get so many applications. The only heartbreaking part of this, having formed this, is the fact that we can't, we can't give money to everyone that really does qualify. Now, there's a percentage that don't qualify. Once we check on them, they say, well, they need their electricity paid, and we call the landlord, and he says, well, the reason he hasn't paid the electricity is because he's been drinking all night. Meh,
Right.
So there's a certain percentage that just don't meet the criteria. But of those who do, there's unfortunately a large percentage that we just don't have the money to help,
Right, and when you help parents and you help the adults, it also affects the lives of children.
Oh,
and
yes. Well,
improves the lives of kids. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I talk about, everyone involved in the system, but our partnerships to help children have been, varied and wide and a lot. We have partnered with the Department of Juvenile Justice on several occasions to help them. We have done back to school programs in Indian River County to give kids new clothes and stuff who can't afford a new uniform shirt or whatever. We donate pencils, erasers, all of that for the back to school things here in St. Lucie County. We recently partnered with the detention center, the Department of Juvenile Justice, again to have a Christmas party for the kids that are in detention. And again, the public needs to know that we help those. We're not helping the people that you're reading about on the front page of the newspapers that are committing serious, crimes or things of that nature. There are so many children and adults that get caught in a system that oftentimes is not their fault, and we need to I believe in punishment. I believe that people need to be accountable, but if we can help them find their way so that they realize that's not the way to go, and that's not the life they want to live, then we've truly made the community safer and helped everyone.
Right. So if someone wants to help,
they can call me at my office, 462-2048-772. My assistant is Susie, and or they can go online, just put in Life Builders of the Treasure Coast, and they can see some of the stuff we're doing and donate online, whatever, but we can always use help.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything that you do in our community.
And I appreciate you too, Carrie.
We'll be right back.
Take my hand and start a brand new day, and together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
Welcome back. Our guests now are from Safer St. Lucie. Carmen, Stephanie. Carmen, you're the project manager for the City of Port St. Lucie Public Works Department and Emergency Management. And Steph, you're in community service for the county. United Way, Red Cross, together, we all make up Safer St. Lucie. So let's tell the public a little bit about the mission of Safer and really why it began.
Okay, well, Safer St. Lucie formed, I believe, because we had two different organizations kind of working on the same initiative. So we thought a couple of years ago that we would all get together and get to know each other, network, have regular meetings, and be on the same page when it comes to disaster preparedness. So now we are Safer St. Lucie, and we have regular meetings. Stephanie will probably talk a little bit about some of the staffing that we have, but there's some exciting things coming, and we're just here to share.
The organization's actually been around since the '05 storms. We started out as the long-term recovery organization, and then we also had a volunteer organizations active in disasters. And historically what happens is that if you have one strong entity, that they end up taking on both of those roles. And that's really what happened with us. COAD, which is Community Organizations Active in Disaster, and INTACT, which was our long-term recovery organization, have melded to become SAFER, which is Support Alliance for Emergency Resiliency, so that we're now addressing things from the entire scope of the disaster cycle. We're not just focused on response, which is typically a VOAD or a COAD focus. We're focused on the mitigation, the preparedness, the long-term recovery components. It's about resiliency. And when you're looking at resiliency, the best thing that we can do to get people back to a sense of normalcy post-disaster is knowledge, preparedness, strengthening their homes so that they don't get as much damage. And all those pieces allow somebody to bounce back more quickly. And that's really the focus of SAFER.
Yeah, in order to really do this, we've formed a wonderful partnership between cities, the county, all the departments in those entities, and other nonprofits.
Emergency management. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about just preparing for a disaster. How does the group, and I'm going to ask you as, I don't know about it, but how does the group help the community prepare for disasters? And not just the community at large, but then the kids are involved as well.
I think it's really about knowing what each other's doing. Like with the city of Port St. Lucie, we serve about 170,000 residents, and those are all residents of St. Lucie County. So we as city staff need to be on the same page with county staff to know what messages they're putting out, what's changed this year, and what to expect. Our biggest vulnerability, I think, are new residents who haven't been here through a disaster. Our last actual disaster, I would say, would be Hurricane Wilma in 2005, and we've had some floods from Tropical Storm Faye and Tropical Storm Erica recently, but actual hurricanes or any kind of major disasters took place about a decade ago. So that's our biggest challenge, is getting over that hurdle of getting people to care about and know that they should prepare themselves, and not to be just sitting back and waiting for us to come in and help after something happens.
And people don't think about, preparing for a disaster. And by disaster, we could talk a lot about this. It could be anything. It's not just a hurricane. It's fires as well.
And we've been very fortunate, through the support of the United Way, to be able to get a full-time staff person who is working to go out and do all of that community education and outreach, and trying to get out there and connect with residents, especially our vulnerable residents, so that they are better prepared, so that they can bounce back more quickly. And part of that is the mitigation and planning component. People are, when your memory goes, if you don't stop and think about what did we go through back in '04, '05, and '08, there isn't a sense of urgency for that preparedness. And we've watched it happen quite a bit over the last 10 years that people don't plan ahead like they used to. After Francis and Jean hit us in '04, all of a sudden everybody's got their kits ready, they're ready to rock and roll. And now we're seeing people, the day before a hurricane, they're out trying to do their shopping for their hurricane kits, trying to gather all their important documentation so that those pieces are in place. And one of the examples that we use quite a bit, when people, they don't want to talk to you about it because they don't want to look at the fact that we may have a hurricane. So what they say is, when we ask them, are you ready for a hurricane? And they say, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, then you say to them, okay, now suppose I knock on your door at 2 in the morning and I tell you you have 5 minutes to get out because there's a wildfire coming your way. Are you ready? And the look on their faces of, oh no, I'm not ready for something like that. And that's the different focuses. We get so focused on hurricanes because we live in Florida, and historically we have them that come through, but there's tornadoes, there is wildfires, there's flooding. We've had some experiences that even when they weren't tropical storms or hurricanes, where we've had some significant flooding in the county. And people don't think ahead. Who thinks about flood insurance when you're not in the middle of it? We haven't maybe had flooding, but by the time you get done, even if you have renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, if you've got flooding, those things aren't going to cover you. So it's that planning and preparedness pieces that really help people get back to normal more quickly.
There are many people who just get by week after week, paycheck to paycheck. How do those people prepare build up a food supply and whatever else they need to prepare for, let's say, a hurricane.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and one of the messages we try to push to people when building the emergency food supply is try to pick up 1 can of food per week, 1 box of rice, 1 gallon of water, even if it's every other week. So as the weeks go by, you now have a food supply that should last you 3, 5, maybe even 7 days if you're fortunate enough to be able to do that. So just start small. When you're going shopping, just grab an extra item or two and put that aside, and then revisit that at the end of it, say a hurricane season, and just see that you can cycle that back into your regular food pantry. But set it aside in small amounts.
And the more you can save electronically as far as your documentation, legal documents, those kinds of things, it's a whole lot easier to grab a thumb drive for your computer than it is to try and remember, okay, where is my insurance documentation? Where is my lease? Where is this? Where is that? If you've got it all right there, photo albums. I lost photo albums in the 04 storms. Huge loss. Well, let's scan them. Let's get stuff out there. The other piece I think is really important is there are easy things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money. With community services, we work a lot with some of our lower income families. And for them to go out and buy a bottle of water, that's a huge investment, okay, for a little bit of money. Well, they don't have to do that. They can save their milk jugs, and they can fill those up with water. We encourage people to bleach down their bathtubs and then plug them up, because there's water that you can use to flush your toilets if you lose power. So some creative things like that are small that they can do to make sure that they're better prepared. But you got to look at it, and you got to do that planning piece to make it happen.
Is there information that they disseminate through the schools to help families prepare?
I believe that they do have some planning that goes on through the school district. One of the things we've discovered is that the better educated the kids are, the better educated the parents are. They really do a lot of accountability for, well, Mom, Dad, we got to get a plan ready. Where's our kit? Do we have our kit ready? And so it's definitely an avenue, and that repetition will be able to get people better prepared. The other place that they can go to get information is, of course, ready.gov, which is a FEMA website. Has a lot of information that can be shared. There are children's coloring books, activities that anybody can go on and access, and that just helps the kids be better prepared. We also have the Safe for St. Lucie website, safeforstlucie.org, and lots and lots of links on there. We have links for businesses. What we've discovered is that 2 critical pieces: you got to get people stable in their housing, and then you got to get them back to work so the community can start to rebound and really start to recover. And one of the ways you do that is you take care of your employees. So it's part and parcel of the employees, the parents, all those different components to try and make sure that everybody's got a plan in place.
Right. What is that? The continuity of operation plan that businesses should have. Let's talk a little bit about that. How could some business out there learn about how to develop a plan?
You have to think first, okay, if I'm a business owner, and what are my mission essential functions? So what are the things that keeps me or us in business? And then so you have to think, okay, if something happens to my facility, how am I going to sustain that part of my operation? There are certain things that can wait, but there are certain things as a business owner that cannot wait, that you have to keep doing, making, producing, or shipping, what have you. So that's kind of, in a real brief snapshot, why it's important to know how you're going to keep your business running if you have to relocate to an alternate facility.
Even so far as, and these seem like mini disasters, they're not gigantic, natural disasters, but a gas outage, when you're stuck and you have a business and you're out of gas, but you need it to cook, your plan can't be to call 911 and say, how the heck am I going to fix this? If you have a plan in place, you have strategies, but you got to look at things. And they don't need to do this alone. We have lots of our members are able to assist. Our emergency manager with the county is also available. He has volunteered his time to come out to any organization that wants it, and he will help them develop a continuity of operations plan. So we've got some great resources, and that number for that is 462-8100.
When this organization began, after the 2005 hurricanes, we were all pulling together to write grants, to use our pull to bring in as much money as we could to help the community, bounce back. And because it was difficult for many people. Yeah, and that's one part of what SAFER focuses on, is that resilience and that bringing the community back after hurricanes. And it's wonderful how we can work together as a community to do that.
The better prepared we are, the less things we have to recover from after the fact. And we learned those lessons when we were going through that back in 04, 05, all, Katrina and all the rest of them went through. And if we can get people better prepared, then that return is just so much easier. The kids adjust better because they have better knowledge about what to expect. There's less of a feeling of helplessness because you know what the steps are to make those things happen.
And pulling it together with partnerships, when you talk about the cities working together with the county in all the departments, and then you bring in your faith-based groups, and they are, after a disaster, people don't realize how much and they do assist individuals after disaster. And then you bring together nonprofit organizations like the Red Cross, Salvation Army, Mustard Seed Ministries, Treasure Coast Food Bank, and all of those, or majority of those, funded by United Way. So we're very proud to work with the community. We can't do without you, and I'm sure you can't do it without the nonprofits.
Right, there's a wealth of resources in this county, and if anyone is in that type of business of helping people, Safer St. Lucie is the way to go. Join Safer, come to our meetings, even if you can't come to every one. Just come, get involved, see who's at the table, and learn what resources everyone has to offer or to share so that we're not duplicating and stepping on each other's territory when we're trying to help people. So that's kind of one of the biggest benefits I found from being at Safer meetings is, wow, I have all these people now that I know personally and can call and say, hey, this is what's going on down here in one of our neighborhoods. Do you have anything that can help? And often we find success.
And one of the strategies that we are utilizing to improve that communication and coordination is we actually have a listserv that is managed through groupspaces.com. Not to give them advertising, but it's been a great tool for us because we can communicate any given moment with one email. We send it out to the entire membership. So training opportunities, if somebody has a need that they can't find a resource for, working together, we're much more effective in being able to help people address all of the needs that they may be experiencing. Fire victims, for them it's a mini disaster, and how can we communicate what their needs are and be able to get the resources to do that?
Right. And the Safer meeting is at the United Way office, 4800 US 1. And
the fourth Tuesday,
at
10
a.m. So if anyone wants to join us, they're welcome, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, you've got a half a minute. Is there anything we missed? There's just so much, right?
I would say we talked a lot about hurricanes. We had a quiet hurricane season this year due to El Nino. And without getting into too much of the specifics, from the National Weather Service, they say that because of the El Nino, we can experience an enhanced risk of severe weather this winter. So I would say just pay attention all year long, not just during hurricane season.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us. If you'd like to learn more, call United Way, 464-5300. Thank you for joining us.